today he told me, well, listen, you have to get rid of the baby because actually I'm married. When we got together, thought we were getting divorced. I had requested a divorce. Things was done, I thought, but that didn't happen. And now I'm trying to work my marriage out.
We can't keep blaming the men for getting women pregnant when the women who are the vulnerable being that can get pregnant are not taking any kind of precautions to keep themselves from getting pregnant if they don't want to. What's up, guys? It's your girl Rivah, and I'm back again with another video. So I actually saw this video when I was scrolling through the wonderful world of TikTok per usual. I've not seen the entire thing. I just read the words on the screen and knew I had something that I needed to react to with you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and press play, pause play, and give you guys my thoughts, my feelings, my opinions on this entire situation. So the first thing it says, the most terrified and alone I have ever felt. And then it says, pregnancy alone is not something I'd wish on anyone.
I'm 6 weeks and 3 days pregnant, and my child's father, all within a day of finding out that I was pregnant, that I may have an ectopic pregnancy, going to the emergency rooms, spending hours and hours and hours getting poked and prodded to find out that my baby's okay and in my uterus where they should be, and my hormone levels are where they should be. So, and within a day of finding all that out, the father of my child said he doesn't want this. He doesn't think this is a good idea, and he wants me to not keep the baby.
Okay, so just to summarize, she's like a month and a half pregnant, basically. She thought that she was going to have an ectopic pregnancy, which would mean that the baby is basically stuck in her tubes, is not making it to the uterus. And so if that could happen, it could be fatal for her, for the child. And so they would have to either, sometimes in serious cases, they have to like remove her tube. It could just be very invasive. So she went through that whole situation, in and out of the hospital just to make sure it's okay. And I guess once she told him what the situation was, once she told him that she was actually pregnant, he's not for it. Why is he not for it? I'm not sure. We're going to find out. But this is something he clearly doesn't want to be a part of.
Let me be very clear that my child's father was very aware of what was going on. This wasn't like nobody was trapped. He repeated over and over and over again how bad he wanted us to have a baby, how bad he wanted me to have a baby, how bad he wanted me to get pregnant. And then I get pregnant and he's like, no. And today he told me, well, listen, you have to get rid of the baby because actually I'm married. When we got together, thought we were getting divorced. I had requested a divorce. Things was done, I thought, but that didn't happen. And now I'm trying to work my marriage out. So you cannot have my baby.
I want to say this, right? And I don't want to come off the wrong way at all, because obviously I don't know the ins and outs of the situation, just like y'all don't. But I always feel like when women tell stories of, situations that are like this, there's a lot of details that are missing, and a lot of it makes it seem as though they're the victim. So it's rare that you get a situation that a woman is so self-aware to tell you exactly her wrongdoings in the situation, where she messed up, the mistakes that she's made, and she's not going to make it a situation where it's like, oh, I did this or I didn't do that, and it was my fault and I was aware of this situation, and all of a sudden, because I'm not saying that men don't, tell you that they want a child or say, sweet nothings in your ear, and then when it happens and reality strikes, they change their mind. I'm not going to say that. But him having some kind of situation with his wife and going through a divorce and then saying this with you and then just doing a random switcheroo, it just is not, 2 + 2 isn't equaling 4 to me. I'm a little bit confused.
So now here we are. And I'm trying to keep my stress levels down because one of the reasons they thought it was, or wanted to rule out it being ectopic pregnancy, was because I was bleeding and still having a little bleeding issues. I'm trying to stay calm, keep the stress down so I don't harm my baby, but I'm just struggling because I'm trying to figure out why I needed this, why I needed to be trying to ask God, like, why I needed to be bent and broken and snapped in this way.
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. My thing is this, right? You're in this situation with this man, whatever the situation is, and you're deciding to have his child. I just don't I don't believe that it is right that if the roles were reversed and she didn't want to keep this child and he really wanted to keep it, that he would have no say so. Right? And so men, I believe that men should have that same balance because women do. I think men, if a man is telling you verbatim, I want nothing to do with this child, that means that you now have the decision to make of what you're going to do moving forward because you clearly want to keep your child. And he doesn't have the right to tell you that you can't. He can't forcibly make you not have the child. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. But you have to understand that when you're in a relationship with someone and you guys don't have any kind of commitment to one another besides y'all just dating, a title, whatever the situation is, there is no ramifications for you if you get pregnant. There just isn't. And so in that space that you're in, you now have to realize, okay, let's remove him from the equation. Let's remove the rights from the situation. He don't want to do with it. He don't want no rights, whatever. Cool, calm, collected. That is his prerogative to make. Now you have to make a decision moving forward. Yes, it might hurt. It might be sad. It might be whatever the case is. But again, there was no commitment between the two of you.
I was minding my business, y'all. That man was persistent to even get a chance with me. And we were damn near living together. And then to say
But you weren't living together. Kind of living together, nearly living together is not living together. Living together is your name and his name is on the lease. That's not what the situation was. What you were sounding like is like y'all was just spending a lot of time back and forth with one another. But the same way that he was adamant on that is the same way that a lot of women get into these situations of not being adamant on what they are demanding from the situation. This is his seed. Okay, this is you bringing life force. It could have been a terrible situation based off of the fact that she talked about ectopic pregnancy. Like, it could have been a fatal situation for you, and you're putting your body in this space for somebody that has no commitment to you. And it's not like, okay, I could see like back in the day where there was not a lot of people coming forward or not a lot of forums or a lot of conversations surrounding these things. But in this era full of knowledge, that is a choice from both parties. It does not matter what somebody says to you. It does not matter. It matters what they are showing you.
And now my poor baby. Poor baby. I didn't want this life for my baby. And you know what? I'm 41. I don't have any children. This is my first child.
This is what I'm trying to say, y'all. Okay? This is what I'm trying to say. You see, if she's like in her early 20s, I'd still be having the same exact conversation. But at 41 and you've never been in this scenario with anybody else, this is just my personal opinion. I have no problem saying that I could be wrong. But from what it seems like you knew that your biological clock was ticking. You found somebody who wanted to procreate just as bad as you wanted to procreate, and you seized the opportunity. And sometimes in seizing the opportunity, you go over all of the red flags, right? You just bypass them. System overload. Okay, well, at this point, maybe I should wait until I'm actually married or in a commitment before I do that instead of, waiting this long to actually be a baby mama. Bypass. Maybe we're not even in a committed relationship where the two of us actually live together. Maybe I should have him, have some kind of incentive that the two of us live together before we move forward. Bypass. Like at 41, you've seen enough of other people's situations, social media situations, of different scenarios to know that being pregnant as a girlfriend might not be the best decision.
I didn't ever even think I wanted any. So I certainly wasn't trying to like, but now it's here.
But you weren't trying to not. I don't hear birth control being mentioned. I don't hear any other contraceptives being mentioned. I hear he said he wanted to do something and you were, with it along with him, not preventing anything.
Just married the whole time. Intentionally got me pregnant, and once I got pregnant, told me I don't want nothing to do with this.
So let's say that situation happened like that, right? Let's say that she was with him and didn't know that he was going through a whatever tumultuous situation, and thought that he wanted this, and maybe got a jump scare when he found out he was going to be committed to this person, and decided, I don't want this situation, I want to go back to my wife, or whatever the case is, and he decided to flip the script. Again, there was nothing in place before. And I hate to say it. I really hate to say it. And I'm not sticking up for this person. I don't know this person. I don't know the entire part of this situation. I don't even know if what you're saying is 100% the truth. But that person is going to have some kind of high, when it comes to authority, or who's going to have priority, is going to be that person, because he knows that situation he was getting himself into. He already knows what he's dealing with that person. With you, it could have been a situation of, I'm getting into this situation. Dang, I'm going through the pregnancy hormones of this. I'm starting all the way over. If he has kids with that previous person, like all these things. And he was like, absolutely not. Let me go back to where it's comfortable. But again, we've seen it time and time again. This is not something new. This is not something that's strange. If you are in a situation that has, minimal or low commitment, what can you expect from that situation? The same way that he could have been with you and he could have said, I really want this child, and you could have got back with an ex and said, you know what, I rekindled with my number one ex. I no longer want to have this child, and so I'm not going to have it. Control, Alt, Delete. And he would have had to just stick with that situation. So it's the same thing. Only difference is that he can't make you unpregnant. Only thing he can do is withdraw or retreat. I guess that's exactly what he's doing. And it's just a crazy situation. But I just feel, and just in my personal opinion, that at 41, it's like, okay, you got to take this L. You were part of the situation. You were not a part of any prevention that you mentioned. And this is the situation. You just got to do the best that you can with what you got. Bottom line. I'd like to know what you guys think.
I'm 41. I don't have any children. This is my first child.
The thing is, at 41, it's not like it's a teen pregnancy, right? Like, it's not like, this is going to stop you from doing whatever it is that you're already doing in your life. I'm assuming that you have some kind of, career path, or you're established to some kind of degree. So it's not like, we're out here, or I'm out here counseling you in a certain way of like, how are you going to be able to figure this thing out? Because you're obviously an adult and have been for a very long time. But now this is just, like I said, just the onus being on you, where you have this situation. It might not be the ideal situation, but it is the reality of the situation. This is your child that you are going to look out for. Obviously you are very happy to be in this space. You are happy to be able to be in that position. It's not going to be an easy position, because this baby is not wanted from one side of itself, and so that's going to be a hard thing when growing your child, of them not having another half of themselves and knowing that they were not wanted, because this has been published onto the internet. So it's a very difficult thing. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy task. But it's just the reality, and you're going to have to make do whatever it is that you're going to do from it. But I hope that other women are learning from these situations. Like, how many times do we have to see women, screaming from the rooftops, these same exact scenarios, before women realize that the onus is on them to create or make different decisions? Like, we can't keep blaming the men for getting women pregnant, when the women who are the vulnerable being that can get pregnant are not taking any kind of precautions to keep themselves from getting pregnant if they don't want to, or if they're not in a long-term commitment, a marriage, living together, whatever the situation is. Like, we can't keep, playing the blame game with everybody else. We have to take that responsibility for ourselves. So I like to know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this entire situation. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And I will see you guys in the next one. Love you.